Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to what I hope to be the first of several video essays that I'm hoping to publish. Well, I don't know if video essay is even the right word. I don't have much of a script. I just kind of have points written down that I'm going to talk about. Today, I figured I haven't uploaded in almost 2 weeks again. I'm so sorry for that. But I did figure I could. Also, this is what I look like, kinda. You're not allowed to see my eyes. But I figured that I should. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I'm. Okay. Off to a smashing start, as you can tell. I figured I would give my take on the new Resident Evil chapter for Dead by Daylight. I love Dead by Daylight a lot. I've started playing it again recently. And what better time than now to talk about it? The DLC came out a few weeks ago, but I do have some things to say. Now, I am going to start with, I think this DLC is fantastic. I think it's amazing. In all the time I've been playing this game, it's one of the best I've ever seen. I could be biased because I love Resident Evil a lot. I love Nemesis. I love Leon. Jill is okay. I prefer Resident Evil 3 to Resident Evil 2. I think 2 is a better game, but I like 3 more. Anyway, I digress. Let's talk the actual content first. So, to start with, you have a survivor, or 2 survivors, and a killer. And, I mean, the map is free, of course, because it just gets integrated into the game. But, that's great. You know, we haven't seen anything like that since the Stranger Things DLC, and that was ages ago at this point, right? I apologize about my hair, but it is currently 4 in the morning. I have not brushed my hair. And all of these characters look great. The map, I can't speak on the map. I don't even know if it's back in the rotation yet or not. I know that they took it out for a while because there were huge issues with it, but I can say things about the characters and their perks, and I do have some things to say. So, let's start with Leon. I think Leon's perks are pretty amazing. Flashbang is the first that I'd like to touch on. Flashbang is a really interesting perk in that... So, to explain how Flashbang works. Flashbang operates by... So, you finish... I think it's a total of 70% of a gen. It doesn't even have to be 70% of one gen. And then if you get into a locker, you are given the choice to craft a flashbang. And once you have crafted that flashbang, you can just use it whenever, I'm pretty sure. That's huge. It just acts as like a firecracker or a flashlight. Well, not a flashlight, closer to a firecracker, just because you throw it and it goes off. And it blinds the killer. I don't know if you can use it multiple times in one match. If you can, that's huge. That's amazing, actually. You do not keep it when you leave the trial, though. If you survive and leave with the flashbang, you do lose it. So that's somewhat of a downside, but it would defeat the whole purpose of the perk if you kept it. And then there is his... Well, it's not his second perk, but the second perk I'm going to talk about right now. Rookie Spirit, I believe it's called. And this perk, I don't remember the specifics of it. I just know that after a certain point, it's something to do with regression. I'm sorry, I can't remember it right now. But for the rest of the match, after Rookie Spirit activates, it makes it so that you can see the auras of every gen that is regressing on the map. Now, the fact that this happens for the duration of the match is massive. It's similar to Felix's perk Premonition. I personally think this is better because it shows you which gens you need to focus on, which ones you should go to. And meanwhile, Premonition is just, oh yeah, you can see all the gens, which is still a really good perk for beginners if they're not familiar with the maps, you know? You shouldn't be buying DLC if you're new to the game, though, in all fairness. Because Felix is a paid DLC character. And then he has here, let me look at my notes quick, I apologize. I can't remember what his third perk is. Bite the Bullet. I have some things to say about Bite the Bullet. Bite the Bullet, the way that it works is when you or another survivor are healing, it's when you are being healed or you are healing a survivor, neither of you make any sound. That's crazy good. It's similar to Iron Will, except it's not overall. It's only when you are healing or being healed, but it applies to both of you. That's huge. My apologies. It applies to both of you, the healer and the person being healed. And I mean, that's just really good overall. You know, that's just a really solid perk. It's one of those things where you can't really measure the value of it, but you know it works. Like, I personally consider Iron Will to be the best survivor perk in the game. Just because with Iron Will, you don't make sound at all. That's fantastic. That's amazing. Sound is the only real, not the only real skill that the killer has. It's the only way that they're able to find you, though, if you're hiding. And if you just eliminate that, that's amazing. And especially if you are doing something like healing and you can stop both of you from making sound, there is some serious gameplay there's some serious benefit to that. Anyway, overall, Leon is a fantastic character. His model looks really good. His costumes are really cool. I mean, his costume from Resident Evil 4, which is the jacket. His default costume is his RPD costume, which I think is fine, you know, since the map was RPD. And then we have... Oop, my mic slipped. I apologize. And then we have Jill. Now, Jill's perks are, first off, Blast Mine. Now, Blast Mine works similarly to Flashbang in the sense that you need to finish a certain amount of gen before it activates. I think it's 66% for Blast Mine. Except with Blast Mine, it triggers whenever a killer kicks a generator. That's really good. And it stops them from kicking it, essentially. And it blinds them. That's really good. Just a pretty solid perk. To my knowledge, it's not exclusive to one time in the game. So, you know, it's not fantastic, but it's a pretty solid perk. Then we have Resurgence. Resurgence is nutty, in my opinion. Resurgence is crazy good. So, I think it's when you get unhooked, or maybe when you're unhooking, you immediately get 40% of healing, of a health state. Well, I think it's 50% at tier 3. Even then, 40% at tier 1, that's crazy. You know? That's just instantly 40%, 50% again at tier 3. That's halfway if you have anything like no, We're Gonna Live Forever doesn't heal you quicker, does it? What is it? Oh no, what's the perk that makes you heal faster off hook? Shit, I can't remember. Is it We're Gonna Live Forever? We'll Make It. It will make it. That's what it's called. Makes you heal considerably faster right off the hook. After you are the one doing the unhooking, that is. But yeah, really solid perk. And then there's Counterforce? Yes, Counterforce. Counterforce, the way that Counterforce works, I apologize for saying it so many times. Counterforce is a perk that functions off of totems. Totems, if you don't know, I don't know why you'd be watching this video if you don't know, but if you don't know, totems are what killers can apply hexes to, which are just really powerful perks, but you can make them go away. So, Counterforce, after you cleanse a totem, at the start of the trial, you have a 20% faster heal, or not heal, totem cleansing. I'm sorry. This is my first time doing this sort of thing. you cleanse totems 20% faster, which is crazy on surface level. Well, not even on surface level, it just is really good. But then it gets better. After you finish cleansing a totem, you get to see the farthest totem away from you, the aura of it, for 2 seconds. It might go up with different tiers. I'm not sure. As you can tell, I'm not very well researched at all. I just kind of cobbled this together because I wanted to film something for you guys. My apologies. But then, for every subsequent cleanse, you get an extra 20%. So by the time you're over there to cleanse that second totem, you will get a 40% bonus. This is just really good against hexes, you know? Any kind of hex at all. Could be really good against Noed if you need to get rid of Noed in a pinch, which I don't know why you'd be searching for Noed anyway at the end of the game. Like, just get the hell out. But anyway, then we have Nemesis. Nemesis, so his power is really interesting to me. It's great, first off. So the way that Nemesis's power works, it's a tier-based power. So you start with an infection rate of 0, and your ability, Tentacle Strike, your special attack, essentially, M2 is what it would be on PC. I don't play on PC, but is a Tentacle Strike, and if you hit a survivor with that, it will contaminate them. If they are already contaminated, it will deal a health state. Now, the way that contamination works is that... my apologies. Your infection rate will go up the more people are contaminated. And once you hit an infection rate of 2, your tentacle can now destroy pallets. And once you hit a tentacle rate of... or an infection rate of 3, then your range on your tentacle attack becomes longer. The range is already pretty decent. It's about the range of a lunge without having to do the animation of a lunge. It's borderline a projectile. Well, I shouldn't say that, but it's got decent range. And there is a vaccine that people can get, which they are in limited amount, and Killer Instinct activates every time you use one. So that just lets the killer know where you are whenever you use one. But there are also zombies walking around, 2 at a time. And if they attack a survivor and they are not already contaminated, they will contaminate them. But, of course, if they are already contaminated, it'll just do a health state. You can also kill these zombies to get a little bit extra infection rate. I don't think it's that worth it. Also, zombies will face in the direction of survivors when they're close enough. They'll also stick their arms out. I think, at least. But anyway, this is really cool because it's not like anything we've ever seen in this game before. The zombies are just completely new concepts. I mean, the vaccine stuff is similar to, like, the plague. But also, in terms of the infection stuff with contaminated survivors, that works similarly to Myers, where after a survivor is dead, you can't get any more contamination off of, or any more infection rate off of them. If someone dies, then you stop getting the benefit from them. Similarly to how if you stalk someone too much as Myers, you can't get any more stalk from them. This is crazy. It's not like anything we've ever seen in this game before, just because of the zombies. You know, it's a mix-up of so many different good killers' powers, and I think it's fantastic. His Mori is also really cool. If you haven't seen that, look it up. It's very nice. Very brutal, which is very good for who Nemesis is, or what Nemesis is. I shouldn't say who. He's not really a person. So, I'm going to throw this out there. This is the best DLC for this game I think I've ever seen. Hot take, I know. But, just given, you know, double survivors, a really good killer, all really solid perks. There were no bad perks here. I'll get to Nemesis perks in a second, because I just realized I haven't talked about him yet. But, yeah, I mean, just really good shit overall. I don't have a single complaint. I have one very small nitpick, though. but we will get to that at the end. So, Nemesis' perks, all really good. The first is the Lethal Pursuer, which allows you, at Tier 3, to see the auras of all survivors at the beginning of the match for 9 seconds, and then it deactivates. This might seem initially like it's really shitty, but on killers who have really terrible early games, like Oni, or hell, even Nemesis himself, this is game-changing. I've played a little bit of Oni. I can tell you myself, Oni's early game is fucking abysmal. It's a nightmare playing as Oni at the beginning because you can't snowball yet. That's what Oni is good at, is snowballing. That's why so many people use Infectious Fright, is because that's what Infectious Fright is really good for. But this Lethal Pursuer perk is game-changing, because you can just see everybody. It shows you the auras of everybody for 9 seconds. That's so good. That is just genuinely really good for people like Killer or Oni and Nemesis. So his second perk is Hysteria. Hysteria makes it so that I think it's every time you hit someone, every time you put someone in the injured state, I think. Or is it every time you hook someone? I can't remember. All survivors are inflicted with Oblivious for, I want to say, 45 seconds at Tier 3. That's huge. That's really good. Oblivious, for those of you who don't know, is the status effect that makes it so that people can't hear your terror radius or see the little red stain on the ground that the killer typically leaves. Really good status effect to have for that long. And especially for something that the killer will be doing just for natural game progression, you know? Really good shit. And his third perk is Resurgence. Now, Resurgence is really interesting to me because it's very similar to Surge. Surge, which is, it's a Demogorgon perk where every time you down someone and put them into the dying state, all of the gens within a certain radius of you explode and start regressing. This perk is for all kicked generators, and they'll be highlighted in yellow if you've kicked them, and they're affected by Resurgence. Oh no, what's the perk called? It's not called Resurgence. I've been calling it Resurgence. That's the jail perk. What's it called? Oh no, what's it called? Oh, I don't know what it's called. I don't know what the perk is called. Oh, I forgot what the perk is called. Oh, this is really bad. I've forgotten what the perk is called. Just a moment, please. Eruption. It's called Eruption. That's what it's called. Eruption is... So after those gens are highlighted, once you down someone, all of those gens explode and start regressing. Now I think this is better than Surge for a few reasons. Or at least it can be, depending on how you apply it. So if you down someone as demo, right, or just as anyone with Surge, and there are no gens nearby, you get no value out of that perk. If there are some nearby, then that's great. But at the very least, with Eruption, you can guarantee at least a little bit of value out of it most of the time if you're pressuring gens like you should be as a killer. So it's just really good for extra pressure. And that's always really nice. Extra map pressure as killer is never bad. And theoretically, if you have kicked all of the gens, which admittedly is not likely, but if you have, that is crazy map pressure, even if you have just like 3 or 4 gens under the influence of this, which I don't imagine you ever will, but it's just a really solid perk. And this is from anywhere on the map as well. I think that's the main advantage that this perk has over Surge, is that it's from anywhere on the map. This can happen. And that's crazy good. But as for my final nitpick of this DLC, that I think is the best DLC to ever happen in Dead by Daylight, I think this is a record high. The costume descriptions are so stupid on Leon. and, well, less so Jill, but more specifically Leon. The description of Leon's Resident Evil 4 jacket is talking about how, like, after Raccoon City happens in Resident Evil 2, he's hell-bent on finding the people responsible. That's just not even what Resident Evil 4 is about at all. Resident Evil 4, for those of you who don't know, because I just act like nobody knows what I'm talking about ever, Leon goes to Spain to save the daughter of the President of the United States from a cult that kidnapped her. It has nothing to do with Albert Wesker or what happened in the Arklay Mountains or what happened in Raccoon City, except for, like, Ada being there, but even then it's not fully established that she's working for Wesker until Separate Ways. But that's just a very small nitpick I have. I still think that this is a fantastic DLC. I think that Flashbang and Blast Mine are great for gameplay dynamics. I think craftable items like that are really crazy. They should implement something else like that. I don't know how they do it, but that would be really interesting to see, like, a perk that allows you to get parts for completing gens, and then you can craft an item or something like that. I don't know. I feel like there's something there, though, you know? But yeah, overall, I'm also upset. One last thing. I'm really upset that Nemesis, his classic trench coat is not a cosmetic. And that just upsets me, you know? It's the RE3 redesign, which is still really cool. He's covered in, like, electrical tape, and he's got the metal heart on him. I still think that's a really cool design, but it would have been nice to have his original trench coat look. But I mean, that's all I've got to say. Fantastic DLC, really. It's $12. I think it's well worth it. For 9 new teachables and 3 new characters, I think that's pretty decent. That's what, $3 per? Not bad. That's $1 a perk, you know? And that doesn't even include playing as your favorite Resident Evil characters, you know? There are also costumes like Chris and Claire for Leon and Jill, respectively, if you want to play as them, so that's pretty cool. But either way, that's going to wrap it up for this. I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, please leave a like or just subscribe if you'd care to. I'd appreciate it. Trying to make something out of this, you know? I mean, who isn't on YouTube? But yeah, that's going to be it for today. Bye-bye.